Seen on suspicion of slavery offences and is helping police with their inquiries.
I think our challenge is trying to make sure we engage with victims, that we give them the confidence to come forward, that we send a very clear message out that this is not acceptable anywhere, and particularly in Dorset.
Dorset Police has been trying to raise the awareness of the issue of human trafficking, which it sees as a hidden crime, as part of Operation Eagle, a nationwide initiative to tackle it. Martin Dowse, ITV News, Bournemouth.
And we'll have more on that in our late news at 10:30. Meanwhile, for thousands of children, it was a welcome extra day off school, but for their parents, it was a nightmare, with last-minute childcare often proving impossible to find.
Well, today's strike by school teachers closed dozens of schools. Others were badly affected as staff walked out in the long, ongoing dispute over a range of issues, including pay and conditions.
Well, this is how our region has been affected. In Wiltshire, 32 schools shut or were partially closed. In Hampshire, it was 64, 16 on the Isle of Wight, and across East and West Sussex, including Brighton and Hove, a total of 174.
Our social affairs correspondent Christine Alsford has more.
Children arrived at this school this morning not knowing whether lessons would be on or off for them. Individual teachers don't have to say if they're taking part in strike action, so here no decisions were taken in advance and parents had to turn up to find out.
Totally inconsiderate. They gave no consideration at all to the adults who are going to work.
It's pretty rubbish, really. Obviously, I've got one child at home, one child not at home. It's difficult to make arrangements.
If the teachers are allowed to tell people at the last minute, well, that's up to them.
Right across the region, many classrooms were empty once more. Teachers taking a stand over the state of our education system for the fourth time and protesting over pay, pensions and workload.
Here again, unfortunately.
I spend my weekends working, I spend my holidays working, and to be honest with you, the pressures of the job as well as the working hours are just too much.
Strikes are not doing any good, why continue?
Well, because we've got to do something, because that's all we have.
This isn't hitting the government, it's hitting parents and children.
Yes, it is, and it's regrettable that we've had to get to the point where we are hitting parents and children, but what we have to do is stand up for teachers, and in standing up for teachers, standing up for education.
Schools like City of Portsmouth Boys, where a third of teachers were on strike, managed to stay open, but just for pupils sitting their exams in a few weeks. So isn't it irresponsible for teachers to strike so close to GCSEs?
I don't think it's irresponsible. There's a whole range of grievances that I think teachers legitimately have with the way education's going, and if something doesn't change, then I think the whole future of teaching is under threat.
One of the hardest hit areas in the country was Brighton and Hove. 60 schools out of 76 here completely closed. Parents coping with the fallout had mixed views on whether they supported the action.
If that's the only way they can resolve it, then fair enough, but obviously it does cause impact on a lot of parents.
I understand the teachers need to sort out any problems, but really it should be sort of not within the children's school times. I feel that it affects their education.
The government agrees and says today's strike was disruptive and unnecessary. With only one teaching union involved this time, many marches were only around half the size of those held previously. The protests may be smaller, but the challenges of resolving this dispute seem bigger than ever. Christine Alsford, ITV News.
Well, the strike meant many children found themselves at a loose end, but not in Portsmouth. A special day for children unable to attend classes was arranged, much to the relief of parents with jobs to go to.
Right boys, so you're all down here today because of the strike in the schools, so you get to come down and play football today with Portsmouth Football Club. What do you all think about that?
Yeah! We know there's a demand for it. A lot of parents didn't find out until yesterday their schools were going to be closed today, and yet we've got over 40 children here today. You know, the parents who arrived this morning absolutely full of gratitude, and as a parent myself, you know, it's been brilliant for me because I brought 6 lads down in the car this morning from my lads' school, and you know, I don't have to worry about them. I can go off to work in a minute and know they're safe and having fun.
You know, if it weren't for places like this, then people like myself wouldn't be able to carry on with work. So,
what do you actually think of the strike?
Oh, I don't think I'd be able to say that on camera.
Well, that view echoed by many. As you might expect, public opinion over the strikes is very much divided. Here are some of your views. Sean Brennan told us if a child had time off during a school day, the parents are accountable and could face a fine. One rule for one.
Andy Clark was even more forthright. He says, no sympathy from me, sack the lot of them, all overpaid and underworked. Don't sugarcoat it, Andy, say what you mean.
Well, the opposite view from Kelly Turner. I'm all for the teachers, she says. They work long days, take work home, and while they're doing the teaching bit of the job, they're constantly scrutinised.
And support for the teachers, but a dig at parents from Joanna Cezali. She says so much ignorance about the teaching profession, some parents should wise up about parental responsibility.
Well, as always, thanks to all of you who sent in your comments.
And as ever, full details of the teachers' dispute can be found on our website. Just scan this code on your smartphone or device to be taken straight there.
In other news, a 46-year-old man has been arrested following a fire at Littlehampton last night. Residents had to be moved to safety after the blaze broke out in a top-floor flat in South Terrace. Some spent the night at the town's leisure centre.
Pensioners pleaded not guilty to murdering his elderly wife. Peter Beaver, who's 80, appeared at Winchester Crown Court. He denies killing his wife Annie, who was 81. She was found dead at their home at Lee Park in Havant last November. He's been granted conditional bail and is due back in court in June.
A pilot killed when his replica vintage plane crashed in Hampshire lacked experience in flying it. That's a possible explanation, according to the Air Accident Investigation Branch. The accident happened at Middlewallop last year, killing 68-year-old John Day. But the report says an absolute cause remains inconclusive.
The Portsmouth-based HMS Illustrious has left to take part in Europe's biggest naval exercise off the coast of Scotland. The commando carrier will join 11 other Royal Navy ships and those from other nations.
And scientists from Southampton have revealed evidence suggesting that infections may lead to the development of Alzheimer's disease. Researchers at the city's university have found inflammation in the brain could trigger the condition.
You are watching ITV News here in the Meridian region. Thank you, as always, for choosing us. We appreciate it. Coming up.
Calling all amateur bands a unique opportunity to rock the Houses of Parliament.
Wow. For more on all of our stories, head to itv.com/news/Meridian. Any views or news, please call us. 0808 1010 095 is the number. Or get in touch via Facebook, or you can send us a tweet.
Now, English wine could soon be taking on the world, thanks to the country's first dedicated research centre in Sussex, given the Royal Seal of Approval today.
Yes, Camilla, the Duchess of Cornwall, helped open the £2 million facility at Plumpton College near Brighton, which is also offering the first UK postgraduate course in winemaking.
Well, the idea is to attract talent from all over the world and create an environment where winemaking can flourish. Derek Johnson reports.
A taste of royalty at Plumpton College. The Duchess of Cornwall in Sussex today at the opening of Britain's newest and only wine research centre. The college has been bottling grape-growing knowledge since the 1980s. Now its teaching is being enhanced by state-of-the-art equipment. The ultimate test, is this a drink fit for a duchess?
That tastes very good. Delicious.
The idea is to get the very best out of the vines that grow here.
What we're looking for are challenges, say for instance like yield or like fermentations, anything that, in any questions which they want answered, that's what the UK Wine Research Centre's for. One of our problems in the wine industry in England is that our yields fluctuate too much. And if we can get good quality consistently with consistent yields, then we're really, really in business.
Camilla has more than a passing interest. Her father was a vintner and her grandfather wrote a book on winemaking.
And this is the only bottle.
Much of the hard work is done in the classroom. In September, the college will be offering the UK's first postgraduate course in winemaking.
I'm here to learn to be a winemaker. So I want to eventually go off and work all over the world as a winemaker.
I worked in the UK wine industry for 4 years in vineyards in southeast England,
And from the minute I started, having had a horticultural background, I really wanted to understand how everything worked.
The budding growers will get their fill of science. They may feel less bubbly after courses in chemistry, maths and microbiology. So with students from all over the world, with the royal seal of approval now, it's hoped these vats and the vineyards of southern England can help the UK challenge some of the world's more traditional wine-growing countries. Derek Johnson, ITV News, Plumpton College.
And teetotal Derek, the ideal man to do that particular report. This Friday marks a very special anniversary for many people across the southeast, including me. It'll be exactly 50 years since the first full broadcast from wonderful Radio Caroline.
It was the so-called pirate radio ship moored a few miles off the coast. Caroline and the other estuary pirates made history and made legends of their DJs.
Yes, we've compiled 3 special features about the ship and its history. Here's David Johns with the first, a look back at how it all started.
It's 1964 and the portable transistor radio is as popular with the youth as the mobile phone is today. There's a huge demand for the new sound of pop music, but the BBC is having none of it.
I don't think the BBC could do much in the way of providing an alternative. Look what it's doing at the moment. The Light programme is offering 17 hours a day, and that's a deuce of a lot, of entertainment music of one kind and another.
The young housewives and teenagers just loved the pop music of the day. The BBC were playing popular music, but more often than not, you wanted to hear the Beatles singing a particular song, you wouldn't hear it by the Beatles, you'd hear it by some show band or BBC dance orchestra or something. Basically, people at home wanted to hear the real records.
Only Radio Luxembourg played the hits, but its signal faded in and out, and they played only snippets of each song. With no licence to broadcast in the UK, offshore radio began outside the government's jurisdiction. Radio Caroline's first programmes were on Easter Sunday, March the 28th, 1964, and millions tuned in.
They accused us of being floating jukeboxes. It's exactly what we were, and that's what people wanted. We were a floating jukebox. There's no need for them now, but we were at the time a floating jukebox. We were the only stations playing music 24 hours a day.
The Pirates were a revelation, and fans such as Paul Graham, later to become a DJ on Caroline, used to queue up for tours to all the pirate ships.
We'd get on board, walk down the beach, get on board, pay our 10 shillings. I was 15 at the time, and as I guess most people were all around that age group, and out we went to the ships to see the likes of Johnny Walker and Tony Blackburn and Kenny Everett and all the people that became legends.
People just wanted to sort of say we listen all the time, and everybody did. Everywhere you went, they said, "Oh, you're that Roger Day from the boat, aren't you?" It was incredible. It was like being part of a famous group. It was ridiculous, really, but because that's the only radio there'd been. There'd been nothing like it before.
Within months, the first Caroline ship went to the Isle of Man, becoming Caroline North. The Mi Amigo took its place as Caroline South. Supply boats kept the DJs going, but playing records on a ship isn't easy.
Sometimes when the record jumped, which it did, with you know, tossing and turning, pitching and all the rest of it, we'd put a half-crown coin, the currency we had those days, on top of the cartridge. It didn't do it a lot of good, but it stopped the record jumping.
But the British government wasn't amused.
The pirate radio ships have no future at all. I'm quite convinced of that, and I think the sooner they're convinced of it, the better. They're endangering the ship-to-shore radio, and there's a real risk that distress at sea might not be reported because of the inadequate fumbling handling of equipment. The pirates are a menace.
The 1967 Marine Broadcasting Offences Act made the ships illegal even if they were in international waters. It looked as though the pirates' heyday was to be short-lived. David Johns, ITV News.
wonderful Radio Caroline. And apart from our producer Chris Barrett, I'm the only person here who remembers it.
You were singing along, you were loving it, weren't you?
Wonderful days. We'll have the second part of our series on Radio Caroline tomorrow.
Now, let's get to sport with Sarah Gom.
Thank you very much, Stacey. Well, Bournemouth crowned a celebratory day yesterday after manager Eddie Howe signed a new deal to stay at the club by claiming 3 points from Leeds United. Their goals coming up, as well as a defeat for Portsmouth, which prompted further calls from some fans for a change of manager. News that boss Eddie Howe and his assistant Jason Tindall had signed contract extensions appeared to boost this Bournemouth side, as Jan Kermorgant had them one up over Leeds within 2 minutes. By the break, a brace from Lewis Grabban put them 3 up, while Kermorgant's second left Cherries fans daring to dream of a late charge towards the playoffs. Leeds' late goal did little to mitigate their bad week, both on and off the pitch. Brighton sit 3 points off the playoffs after defeat at Sheffield Wednesday. The Seagulls had come closest to opening the scoring, but an injury-time winner sent them home empty-handed. Reading captain Joby McAnuff admitted his side simply weren't good enough as they went down 3-1 at home to Barnsley. After conceding on 16 minutes, Pavel Pogrebniak's penalty drew the Royals level. 2 more from the visitors, though, gave them 3 points to lift them off the bottom. Crawley Town boss John Gregory said he had no complaints from his side's performance at home to Sheffield United. He said the 2-0 scoreline flattered their opponents. Alex Smith opened for Swindon at Tranmere with his first for the club. The hosts were level by the break before Miles Storey struck to claim all 3 points, putting the Robins in 8th place. Portsmouth are now teetering on the brink of the drop from League Two after this 3-0 defeat at league leaders Rochdale. Pompey are 2 points off relegation. And reports today are suggesting Richie Barker's position at Pompey will be discussed at the club tonight. Now, staying with football, 2 members of the England ladies team have been in Sussex today ahead of next week's World Cup qualifier against Montenegro. The game will be played at Brighton's Amex Stadium, where defenders Casey Stoney and Alex Scott were today welcomed by Brighton Chief Executive Paul Barber. Now, a 15-year-old athlete from Southampton is celebrating after being crowned the under-17 200-metre British champion. Oliver Bromby entered the race at the Indoor Championships after being disqualified from a 60-metre event and went on to run just 2 seconds off the pace of Usain Bolt. Sally Simmons reports.
His legs still aching from the biggest weekend of his life, Oliver Bromby navigates mini hurdles at Southampton Athletics track. But it was more than a mini disaster when he got disqualified for a false start from the 60 metres at the British Indoor Championships. His mum's video says it all.
Oh no!
God, the fastest one's gone out.
Oh, that's my son. I know it is.
He was absolutely gutted, and of course he was being teased as well a bit by some of the folks.
I thought I got to get some dignity back, so I decided to do 200.
Determined to make up for the DQ and to make the 10-hour round trip to Sheffield worthwhile, Oliver decided to do the event he finds really tough, particularly indoors.
And he's putting on a very good performance here in the opening heats of the under-17 200 metres.
The first heat went well.
It's going to be tight on the line.
The semi-final went better.
The semi-finals are 60 metres.
And in the final, Oliver Bromby won to become British champion under-17.
The Southampton lad takes the gold medal, and look at the time.
He clocked 21.99 seconds, just a couple of seconds slower than his idol, Usain Bolt.
Yeah, he was probably one of the main reasons I started athletics, because of his world records and stuff, so it's motivated me to carry on.
And as the indoor season has come to an end, there's no chance of anyone taking Oliver's title anytime soon. Sally Simmons, ITV News, Southampton.
Oh, incredible. Thank goodness he was disqualified.
He's faster than you.
Very much so.
Thanks a lot, Sarah. Less than a week to apply for Parliament's biggest competition, not a political one, but a musical one.
As every summer, a one-off concert is held at the Houses of Parliament to showcase some of the nation's undiscovered musical acts.
The man who's organised the whole thing is a Sussex MP, as David Wood will tell us.
This place may be best known for fiercely fought political competition, but for one night every year it isn't the debates in the chamber that are voted on, it's music.
Don't know what time I got home.
The Rock the House competition sees bands from across the country, nominated by their own MPs, compete at a one-off concert in the Houses of Parliament. It's meant to be fun, but there is a serious side.
It's all about raising the importance of intellectual property and also about live music. I mean, we rely heavily on our creative industries in this country, and we are a net exporter of creative works, and we want to protect it. We want it helps pay for our NHS, and we don't want that to disappear. So we want parliamentarians to understand the importance and the country to get behind it as well.
Organisers also say it gives MPs a unique chance to talk to musicians, a demographic they don't often get much contact with. The event is supported by politicians and musicians alike.
A lot of the young bands now, this is their first time at Westminster, and they're actually meeting people who they would think were untouchable as far as they were concerned, that really do care about the industry, care about young bands, care about what they're doing, and want to help.
Never see the sunset and fade away.
Anyone interested in competing has until next Monday to apply to their local MP, and there's more information on the Rock the House website. Over the years, this competition has become more popular and is now the biggest competition held here in Westminster. And those behind it want as many of you to get in touch with your MPs as possible and nominate whatever type of music it is that you play. And those successful will perform in a special concert here at the Houses of Parliament in July. David Wood, ITV News in Westminster.
Well, from musical talent to talented hedgehogs, it has to be Simon.
Well, yeah, talented if you like boxing, as you'll see. Neo Petman is from Thatcham in Berkshire, and he had a hedgehog in his garden that was too little to hibernate, so he's putting food out for it. Well, this week they got a visit from some other hedgehogs. Have a look what happened. There's the three of them, all very nice, getting on quite well the other night this was. Then, look what happens. OK, the first one, the original one, clearly not too pleased with having house guests, so decides to push the other one out. Look, it'll regret rolling up into a ball. Here we go, one big nudge and it's gone. There you go. He's evicted. And then he sneaks off out through the side door in order to go and deal with the rest of them, almost knocking over the water and the tea into the bargain too. So who knew that hedgehogs could be quite so feisty? Meanwhile, from badly behaved creatures to well-behaved ones, Robin's the best behaved. Look, this is the one that PJ Durrant had, and look where it's sitting. Right on the edge of his foot, look. Isn't that amazing? So keep an eye out for good or bad animals. We'd love to see them.
He's a daft old bird, isn't he? Here he is with your weather forecast now. Simon Perky Parkin.
That's us driving on, us driving off in France, and us outside a chateau.
Driving to Europe. Eurotunnel Le Shuttle sponsors ITV Meridian Weather.
Well, courtesy of Linda in Winchester, this is the upside to a showery forecast. The downside is you might get caught under a meaty one with a bit of hail thrown in as well. Certainly some more of those around tomorrow and this evening too. They're continuing on their journey westwards. As they go through this evening, we could see a bit of winteriness over the higher ground. Then they tend to fizzle away unless you're down towards the south coast. That's where one or two may continue through the night. Elsewhere, generally dry, a lot of cloud, and feeling quite chilly with temperatures down to around 1 or 2 degrees. Now, tomorrow morning, it will be a mostly dry start. Again, it's towards the coast, the Isle of Wight, where you might find some early ones, but they will become a bit more widespread as the day goes on. And once again, we're looking at some hail and some thunder thrown in. Quite a cool easterly breeze. Temperatures very disappointing, 8 or 9 the high. Now your high tide times, well, you can see in Bournemouth just after 6 in the morning, around 6:45 tomorrow evening, and then Friday will be another day when there'll be more showery outbreaks of rain and a cool wind. Once we get into the weekend, things become a little bit more settled. They also become a bit warmer too.
Eurotunnel Le Shuttle sponsors ITV Meridian Weather.
And just a moment to the national and the international news with Alistair Stewart and Mary Nightingale.
Join Stacey for our late news, but for now, from the team here at ITV Meridian, thank you so much for watching. Take good care of yourselves. See you tomorrow.
Good night.